So we're back with another presentation with Nick, Project Portfolio Management. Floor is all yours.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be back. In the last talk, I got really into the specifics of structure and timesheets. In this one, I want to talk about the broader picture of our portfolio of apps. Tempo has acquired a lot of companies, and we have quite a wide base of things. So I'll try to cover all of them as best I can with the background of doing PPM. We can start off with a definition I'm sure everyone in the room knows or has run into project portfolio management. It's this idea of having multiple projects, whether they're multiple business lines or companies or apps or whatever they are. We got some disparate things that we're trying to organize and manage and understand all at the same time. This is often a complex and a difficult process, which is why it's talked about a lot. So these are the core tenets of PPM, and these are some of our specific apps that I think address these concerns. They are not necessarily one-to-one, like you can only do portfolio prioritization with structure, or you can only do resource management with Gantt. It's not like that. There's definitely a lot of overlap, as people in resource optimization would also fit really well with Planner, and pivotability might actually fit pretty well with Deliver as well as risk management. But I have updates for all of these guys, and I want to talk about what's new and what we're delivering. So, with these main goals in mind, portfolio prioritization, resource optimization, monitoring, risk management, and pivotability. How do we use these tools? What are new features associated that are going to help us do those things? So let's kind of go to an overview. So on the kind of core Tempo side, this is the main suite of applications. We've already talked about timesheets and mentioned Planner. We also have budgets and cost tracker. We can think of budgets as the DC and cost tracker as the cloud version of those. And then, as a shameless plug, I will talk about our new structure bundle, because this is also basically the entire suite of ALM products. And so if you're already using these things, we can basically get them all together at a discount. Structure and Gantt definitely being the more popular ones, but Pages for Confluent, Pages, Deliver for Agile delivery, Colors for adding that context and visibility, and Testy for test management. So all of these things kind of work into that PPM, road mapping, resource management. Again, they work really well with Agile, but they're not tied to Agile. It's not domain specific, I guess. And then we also have complementary solutions that are outside. So outside of Structure and Tempo, we also have RoadMonk. Of course, we're talking about Old Street Solutions and the acquisition today. And then, of course, there's also Liquid Planner, which is another, outside the Atlassian ecosystem app. So we have a very broad range of tools all over the place. As we move forward, we'll see greater and greater interoperability and integration between those tools as they start to work more seamlessly together. And of course, that's why we have a lot of Fortune 500 penetration. These are some of our big names. So very exciting stuff. I want to get into the meats of the meat of what is new and what is changing. I definitely personally know the challenge of trying to keep up with software. It's really easy to do 6 months in the past. It's really hard to do today to like actually know what's going on in really any software product because they're always changing. But we can start with tempo and this resource and cost management. So I did mention and kind of tease in the last one that we were going to talk about this idea of AI machine learning. So this is our automation feature. And basically what this is going to do is try to use that machine learning to do a better job of guessing what you're going to do when you're tracking time. So we make this process easier and more seamless for people. So it's less tedious for them to track time. As that friction reduces, it becomes easier and easier. More time gets tracked. We have greater data granularity. And as we have that more data available, we can fine-tune our processes a lot better. So we're trying to make it easier for every part of the hierarchy. And this is our old Planner by Tempo team planning view. So it was a little bit messy here, a little bit hard to get a big picture view and see a lot going on. And this is our new view, much more consolidated, much cleaner, and getting to that, higher view. We want to be able to see more of what's going on. We want to, try to understand a greater swath of data, and I'm sure we all know those problems of, we're getting to scale. As we've got more employees or more, whatever we're dealing with, or whatever we're scaling, we need tools that scale with us. We've also got this idea of creating time-based tempo projects in Cost Tracker. So this means that even if we don't have that cost data, maybe we don't want to have that financial data in Jira, we can still use Cost Tracker, plan a whole project using time as our currency. Honestly, I wish people did this more. I feel like a lot of people don't think of time as a currency, which it absolutely is. And then, these are the big highlights. I know we already touched on some of these, but this standard and power mode in Structure is definitely one I want to talk about next. I think this is going to be a really exciting change. Again, that ease of use, we want to make these tools as accessible as possible because the more people use them, the more people are going to get value from them. And there's also some performance improvements. The migration is, of course, going to be a big one for over the next year. So we can definitely talk about that as well. Going on to the Structure updates. So now on cloud, we've got this ability to do the Confluence macro. So that way, we can have that context of, here's a document describing what we're doing, what our goals are, and here's the structure board of that actual work going on, in real time. This is kind of a mirror of what we already have on DC, working on that feature parity and making sure that all of these apps work seamlessly together, whether it's on-prem or on cloud. This is one of the really big features on Structure, the ability to share. We obviously want as much information radiation as possible, as much IaaS as possible, and so this ability to share a structure on cloud, I think, is going to be a big one as well. And then, of course, we recently introduced formulas for cloud. Still not quite as advanced as the on-prem Expert, but still a lot of capability that we have here. I have spent a great deal of time helping people write all sorts of complicated and interesting, expert functions. There is all sorts of data that we can extract and, different things that we can do. This is the real Swiss Army knife of Structure. Like there is, like literally the possibilities are endless here. And then on the DC version of Structure, we've had some really exciting changes as well. This ability, the ability to do text wrapping. So this means that we can have more information, have more context, get a deeper dive without going to the issue details page. So we're losing less time in transition. And then what happened in version 8.1 and 8.2, I think, is really interesting and worth talking about. So we got this easier access to bundled formulas, which was basically you could load a formula, so you didn't have to write it yourself, which was a little bit weird because you could only load about a dozen formulas, but it's this idea of incremental development, because then in 8.2 we got this ability to save formulas. So if somebody writes an interesting or meaningful formula, they can save it, and then other people can add it to their different boards, or maybe make use of it, maybe leverage another formula to kind of do further calculations on it. But again, we want to make this as easy to use as possible. I know not everyone's a programmer. And the same idea here with filter by field. Filter by field doesn't sound very interesting. It sounds like possibly one of the most boring changes I've seen on release notes, but it's actually really interesting. It's a great visual layer for our quick filters. I think of it looking very similar to the basic search in Jira, where you get the drop downs and the checkboxes and stuff. You don't need to be familiar with JQL or anything like that. It's going to be a very, very nice user experience. So yeah, so this is what the text wrapping looks like. So when we have long descriptions, when we have new lines, when we have things you can see with like a full bulleted list here, we've got like a paragraph of information, so we can get a lot more context in the structure board. And then we've got this new welcome page for structure. This is configurable, so we can change it as we see fit, but it's just intended to be a jumping off point to help ease that transition for new users, so they can easily find resources and get started and get up and running without needing a lot of hand-holding and training wheels. They can just kind of hopefully find this page and kind of sink or swim on their own. Yeah, and then this idea, I'll try not to talk all day about formulas, but this is actually the 8.1 version, where we only have the ability to load formulas. Since then, we have the ability to save formulas to the library, which is really exciting. And then, of course, it's not just about math and let's do some fancy calculation to get a metric out of this. There's also the ability to change the way that that's displayed. So if we want a big red danger button or something to communicate something, or a big green everything is fine flag, all of those are viable options, because we want to make this information understandable and actionable at a glance. I think that's the ultimate goal here. And then getting beyond what's currently available, we can talk about what's in the future. As far as structure Gantt Cloud, the Gantt attributes is a really exciting one, because this is going to allow us to pull that information into structure, so we can ask questions about what Gantt has decided without necessarily showing the Gantt chart. And again, this information can be used in those formula calculations. So there's a lot of cool things that we can do with that. And then coming up this idea of better capacity management for managing those resources, and the resource leveling, so we can automatically deal with their capacity. And then on the data center side, we're talking about these planning tasks, artificial tasks. One of the things that structure has struggled with is it's always trying to deal with real data. And so this what-if planning, this hypothetical, can be a challenge for it, and that's something that we're working on. So these planning tasks, artificial tasks, and then, of course, the ability to do agile resource leveling will be coming up later this year, so keep an eye out for those. But yeah, that's really all I have, and this is what we're trying to do, bring it all together. We've got all these different apps all over the place, some very purpose-built, some very general, and as we increase their interoperability and their integration, we'll see more and more value, more and more interesting things that we can do, and probably some more AI stuff. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. Thank you so much.